Son, Stifled. All right, second time around on Stifled. Last time I did it, I did the solo. Still picking up the pieces from that experience, to be perfectly honest. But I had to come back to this one because this outro is definitely one of my all-time favorite moments of all Meshuggah. And I knew that there was some really recognizable chord progression built into it, but I never could put my finger on it. So I finally had to look it under a microscope, and now I figured it out. I figured out what's going on, and I'll just tell you, I don't even know where to begin trying to explain this. I'm going to do my best, and hopefully I can give you that insight of that moment of like, when you see the big picture, when you get inside their head and you realize, mother of lords. They're just people, right? They're just people. But still, like that, anyway. So what's going on here? You have this one riff. Let's call this riff A. Now, riff A is the seed of the entire thing. Riff A is... That's riff A, okay? So that is a 17-bit beat riff, and the entire outro is based on that very riff. Now, you have 3 additional variations. You have riff B, C, and D, which are all just extensions or truncations of riff A. Now, the whole idea of the outro is also based on the classic like call and response. Just call and response. If you think about call and response and you kind of think about, you know, regular normal music, and you try to almost impose your idea of what regular normal music is over this Meshuggah progression, it will suddenly make sense. The idea that they came up with isn't that crazy. It's just that they found a way to weave it into the music in a way that, I've never heard call and response ever done like this before. So the call is always A, riff A. That's the call. Download that riff into your psyche. Once it's downloaded into your psyche, you're almost playing the riff at the same time as you're improvising, and you're thinking of counterpoint. You're thinking every note that you play improvisationally is harmonizing whatever note is happening in the riff. So that's a lot to think about. Ultimate practice. It's the greatest practice ever. It's like chord change to the next level. So what makes it even more complicated is the harmonic implication that's coming from the riff is shifting against the 4/4 backbeat. So it's not like, oh, you have 2 beats of A flat, you have 2 beats of A major. No. On the first variation of the riff, you have 2 beats. Beat 1 to beat 3 is A flat. Beat 3 to beat 1 of the next measure is A major. But then the second time that riff comes around, it's been displaced because the riff preceding it was an odd number of beats. So that chord progression is now moved over by a half a beat, or a beat and a half, or 2 beats. That's what each variation does to the next variation. It's moving it over. Riff A is 17 beats, so it moves riff B over 1 whole beat. But all of the riffs start with, they all start with the call. So they're moving the call to different parts of the measure, and then they fully permutate it. That's why there are 4 variations over 64 measures. It becomes fully permeated. You hit all parts of the measure by the end of the cycle. Does this make sense to you? Do you get this, son? All I can do to explain it is really honestly just play it. I hope when I'm playing that solo in the beginning, you heard those chords moving around and me following them, even though they're almost reharmonizing the backbeat. So it's like if you follow the backbeat, you're not going to play the right notes at the right time. You have to use your ear, but you also have to know the actual riff. You have to know it. You have to play it, and then that's the only way. You're harmonizing it with your lead. Am I even making sense? I literally don't even know. All right, see you next time. Son!